Hey, it's Fox from Inferno Fox Gaming. So one of the strongest aspects about Nintendo, hands down, are its first-party intellectual properties, or IPs for short. While they're extremely stingy about them appearing on any sort of non-Nintendo console, they've been great about non-Nintendo developers making their games. But more importantly, for the purposes of this video, putting them in genres that they're not well known for. Examples of the latter include Pokemon Puzzle League, Metroid Prime Pinball, and Cadence of Hyrule. I thought it would be fun here today to talk about some of Nintendo's franchises and discuss some fun ideas or ways that they could explore outside of their respective genre that they're known for. First off, I want to talk about Super Mario. This franchise is known, of course, for 2D and 3D platforming. Not only is this the core Nintendo franchise, but also one that has divested out of the action platforming genre the quickest. And one of the first spin-off games Mario was in occurred before his appearance in 1985's Super Mario Bros. This includes the Black Box series released in 1984, both Pinball and sports title Tennis. Beyond these first non-platforming games that he's been in, we've seen Mario and the various Mario cast featured in puzzle games like Dr. Mario, Tetris Attack, Yoshi's Cookie, racing games like Mario Kart, or even the Famicom Grand Prix series, fighting games, of course, like Super Smash Bros., RPGs like Paper Mario and the Mario & Luigi series, party and board games like, of course, the Mario Party series and Fortune Street, and sports games, including lesser-known sports you wouldn't think Mario would be in, like hockey. That, of course, being from Mario Sports Mix. Heck, Mario's even held a gun before, in the tactical RPG series Mario vs. Rabbids. All this being said, we're hard-pressed to find a genre that Mario hasn't appeared in. Speaking, and kind of going back to Mario holding a gun, one thing he hasn't held is a sword. This, despite attempts to do so via concept art that was presented to Shigeru Miyamoto by the Squaresoft team when they presented the idea of something called Super Mario RPG back in the mid-90s. Now, my thought would be to develop an action RPG that's sort of top-down, like the early Zelda series or even the Ys series, where, of course, Mario holds a sword and fights enemies. Though I suppose for the overall gameplay loop, Super Paper Mario kind of had that covered because that was really like an action RPG type game. One genre that I also haven't found Mario appear in is the sim or simulation genre. And no, I'm not counting the bonus games that are unlockable in GameCube's Animal Crossing. That game is a sim and it contains certain Mario games, but it does not count as a Mario sim. So I've got two ideas for a Mario sim game. One is conventional and one is a little off the rails. The conventional one would be like a spiritual successor to the Nintendo-owned SimCity on the Super Nintendo. Mario has to help Peach rebuild the Mushroom Kingdom, and this is similar to the storyline from Super Mario Maker 2. And maybe this could even be like a Super Mario Brothers movie tie-in game where as each of the buildings could be based upon the general structure of Mushroom Kingdom from that movie, like seen in there. The general functions of the buildings would work just like SimCity from SNES. Toad houses would be residential buildings, the shops for the commercial, and then factories where stuff like Mario Minis are built would represent the industrial buildings. My second idea, like I said, a little bizarre, but hear me out. It would fit oddly well. A dating sim starring none other than Waluigi. Now, Mario has Peach, Luigi has Daisy, and fans say that Wario has Mona from the WarioWare games. Needing help to find someone, Waluigi would work with his friend Birdo to find love in the many different kingdoms in the Mario universe, or wholly invent new ones. It's kind of like how a whole universe was built for the WarioWare games. Now, this doesn't seem like something that Nintendo would endorse, But you'd be surprised as to what the Big N has done with their franchises. Best example of something like this would be the Zelda spin-off, Ripened Tingle's Balloon Trip of Love. Let's talk about another well-known Nintendo platformer, the Kirby series. Nearly all of the mainline series are 2D platforming games, with the exception being the excellent 3D entry, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. While Kirby hasn't dipped his toes into as many other genres as Mario, he's still been in quite a bit. Like puzzle games like the Puyo Puyo clone, Kirby's Avalanche, or the other puzzle game like Kirby Star Stacker. We also had arcade and pinball games like Kirby's Block Ball and Kirby's Pinball, respectively. Racing like Kirby's Air Ride, and heck, we even had fighting games like, of course, Super Smash Bros. Series and Kirby Fighter Deluxe and Kirby Fighter 2. What we haven't seen Kirby in is an RPG title. The way I imagine this is it would be a turn-based RPG, something more akin to Shin Megami Tensei 5 than anything. Kirby has the ability in games like Kirby's Star Allies and Superstar to turn enemies into allies via their abilities. Facilitating this, we see Kirby creating his full party of 4 fighters, including himself, in this way. Considering how bad crap crazy that the mainline Kirby games get with their stories in like the last 5 to 10%, this speaks how oddly great a Kirby RPG story could pan out and become, especially with enigmatic characters like Meta Knight in it. Now, one last franchise that I'll touch upon is Star Fox. And this franchise really hasn't explored too much beyond its on-the-rails shooter much. At least not as much as Mario and Kirby have. Strategy was implemented a fair bit in Star Fox Command, though much of the game retained its shooter elements. Tower defense, because of course it's tower defense and like a Japanese type game, was touched upon with Star Fox Guard, which released alongside Star Fox Zero for the Wii U, and Star Fox Adventures, i.e. Dinosaur Planet, saw Fox himself explore a planet in a 3D platforming element in Rare's last game with Nintendo. Now, Fox's R-Wing still had a part to play within that title. I believe like as transportation, like a beginning part of it, but it was mostly with that sort of 3D platforming aspect. With all of this said, the shooter aspect still played heavily with these various offshoots, thus leading to my genre-bending idea, and the title will give it away. I imagine a genre-bending game for Star Fox being titled Rogue Fox. You can guess what type of game this would be, and hint hint, it's like the Rogue Prince of Persia. It could be like a remix of Star Fox 64, or the original but remastered, except it'll incorporate rogue-like elements. Players could select one of 4 of the heroes and have certain bonuses available to them for doing so, kind of like how Star Fox Command worked, and as players progress through the levels, they have the ability to gain stuff like R-Wing durability, certain specific laser power-ups, and different types of like lasers themselves instead of the straight single and then the double shooting lasers. Maybe even increase the amount of bombs that they can have and so on. But should the player die, and instead of lives like a lot of Star Fox games have, they go back to the beginning of the game. It sort of plays into that arcade element that the Star Fox games have, to where it's such a short playthrough usually. Like, to go from the beginning to the end of a Star Fox game, it's anywhere from like half an hour to an hour and a half. By just dying once, it really leans into that. It's an immediate game over, because of course in like a real thing, I don't know, animals defending their various planetary systems, but hear me out on this. The real thing, there would be no lives, but there would be incremental increases, like the ability to buy permanent things at the Great Fox ship before deploying for their main mission. And just overall, I feel like Rogue Fox would be a great twist to the overall Star Fox franchise, especially like a real shot in the arm, because we haven't seen a new Star Fox entry in forever and a day. So this was just a couple ideas. There's just a couple of things I wanted to run by you all for some well-known and maybe not so well-known franchises like Star Fox, since we really haven't gotten too much new for the Switch. That I thought would be interesting to see to step out of the genre comfort zones. Let me know what you guys think on this, because I'd love to start a discussion and get your sort of ideas, as well as other Nintendo franchises you'd like to see get out of their norm. I have ideas for Metroid, Fire Emblem, Zelda, and even Pokemon. So if you like this video and you like this general idea, I'll expand more. I'll get into these. Again, let me know in the comments. And thanks again for watching, and have a great day.